nagkaroon ng Senate, na-elect si Manuel Quezon na Senate President. At hanggang naging presidente siya ng Pilipinas noong 1935, siya ang nag-iisang Senate President nung first iteration ng Philippine Senate. So, yung from 1916 hanggang 1935, Manuel Quezon lang ang Senate President. Even before, nung panahon ng Amerikano, in-implement din nila sa atin na yung Congress yung may power of the purse. So, yun yung basically ginawa ni Quezon. Naging check and balance siya sa pangyarihan ng mga Amerikano na didiktahan yung mga Pilipino.
The Senate transferred in the current building here at the GSIS, April 1997. Since then, we have had 12 Senate presidents. Senate President Ernesto Maceda was the Senate President when we transferred, followed by Senate President Naphtali Gonzales, who was Senate President 3 times, Senate President Marcelo Fernan, Senate President Blas Ople, Senate President Franklin Drilon, Senate President Aquilino Pimentel Jr., Senate President Manny Villar, Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile, Senate President Aquilino Pimentel III, Senate President Vicente Soto III, Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri, and our current Senate President Francis Escudero.
The Senate President's desk at the session hall. Kung titignan nyo, napaka-ordinary looking. Plywood nga lang yata yun No? Even yung design niya napaka-simple. Walang special materials, no special craftsmanship. What it lacks perhaps in terms of workmanship, in terms of materials, it more than makes up for it the history that it represents. No? Ever since it got used in 1997, it has passed so many laws. It has witnessed so many major developments in the country's post-87 history.
What is on the table of the Senate President are the scenario. So this is the order of what's going to happen in a particular session. The second is the order of business or the reference of business, the agenda, the weekly agenda, and the agenda for the day. The Senate President is the leader of the Senate, guiding a legislative agenda and priorities. He sets order in plenary and in the Senate as a whole, and he must treat all members of the Senate with respect. The consensus builder. He mediates during disputes, he nurtures collaboration, and creates a positive working environment. Despite differences of opinions, different positions, he will always be able to build consensus among his peers. The Senate President usually have a huddle with fellow senators before session begins. They discuss the measures that will be considered on the floor, if other senators have scheduled interpolation or amendments to what will be the bills that are in consideration. And they usually read through what they have on the table. An administrator and manager, he signs all measures, enrolled bills, enrolled resolutions, even orders of arrest. A communicator and a strategist, he articulates the position and the decision of the Senate to the public and to the media. And for me, the coolest head in the chamber. He is calm and composed, especially during high-pressure situations.
The Senate President should make a firm stand on how he will position himself on the particular issue and how he intends to put an end or to resolve the issue at hand.
Every time kasi na nagbabago tayo ng Senate President, maraming changes sa Senate.
Working with the Senate President during plenary session is always an enriching and fulfilling experience.
Meron silang iba-ibang attitude. They have different advocacy.
I started working with the Senate when Senator Jovito Salonga was the Senate President, and this was in the 8th Congress. Senator Salonga always emphasized the integrity of a public servant. And it was not only for all the senators, it was also for us, the Senate employees. He put emphasis on being competent in the job that we do, to be always aware that all our outputs are for the benefit of the Filipino people.
I remember yung time ni Senator Andara, may mga scholars siya. For example, he would go around the offices and find out, sino yung mga tingin yung mga estudyante na
need educational assistance, binibigyan ng allowance every month for them para makapag-aral. I remember when I was a committee secretary, we were looking forward to the senators who would be having expose, especially si Senator Maceda, na yung expose niya is really research on and then it's well treated.
Ang isa sa hindi ko makakalimutan, naging duty ko ay yung kay the late Senate President Marcelo Fernand. Hindi kanya inaano na parang isang ordinaryong empleyado lang, kundi anak or either isang apo ang turing niya sa'yo.
Senator Villar was very patient sa mga employees niya. Very caring at mabait talaga. Yung kanyang slogan is sipag at tiyaga. Kasi from the roots naman po siya eh. So nakita ko talaga yung pagsisikap niya. So yun talaga yung ninulat ko siya akin. Kasi ako din, I grew up from the mahirap na family. So talagang siya yung naging model ko.
Then, Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile required all documents to be in large fonts like number 18 because he was in advanced age.
Notable personality para sa akin is si Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile. Yung mantra niya na gusto ko happy ka, talagang pinanindigan niya yon, yung mantra na yon. Hindi niya lang ginawa sa pagiging senator niya, but dun sa loob ng pinamumunuan niya, sa loob ng bahay niya.
From among the 5 or 6 senators that I've worked in the past, pinakamatagal ako kay former Senate President Tito Soto. He requested us, yung mga staff niya, to make comprehensive studies, research, so that involves a complete staff work. Yung values na nakita ko sa kanya in terms of work is yung dedication niya. Once it started in a single issue, he continues with it until he will put a period on that matter. Hindi niya titigilan.
Isa lamang ang kinagulat at ikinalungkot ko na rin ng sabay nung ako'y naging SP, o tagapangulo ng Senado. Yan ay kung gaano kaluma na, kadaming problema, kadaming tulo, at kadaming kailangan gawin dito sa kasalukuyang tahanan ng Senado at kung gaano pa kahaba ang proseso na kailangan natin pagdaanan para tayo makalipat sa ating bagong tahanan.
Hindi naman sa porket close-in photographer ko ni SP Cheese, nakita ko na sobrang sipag. Hands-on kasi siya. Halos sa sulok, pinakasulok-sulok na hindi napupuntahan ng ibang ordinaryong empleyado, napasok niya, chine-check niya. Ano ba yung dapat maging improvement nito para mabago? Doon ko lang nakita
Hindi nila alam ang puso ng mga senador, ang puso ng ating mga naging Senate President. Alam nila kung ano yung hinaing, kung ano yung sentimento, at kung ano yung mga pangangailangan ng kanilang mga empleyado.
Every time the Senate President bangs the gavel saying, approved on third reading, or the conference committee report is hereby approved and ratified, impacts on the Filipino people. These are the very documents that will be signed into law. These are the output of the committee, long committee hearings, extensive floor deliberations and interpellations and debates, and this is the product of the hard work of all the members of the Senate and staff.